welcome. And thank you so much for coming. I really mean that from my heart, because I know on a hot day, central Manchester, with the parking, it's not that easy. And we're also used to having Zoom meetings, so we can all be lazy and attend in our pyjamas. And so I'm just going to take you on a little bit of a journey here. The first place I'm going to take you is this wonderful retreat place in Antalya, with the beautiful pool that's just been filled there. So imagine yourself transported there for a week or 2 weeks, endless sunny days, time for you to reflect, think, plan, write, have wonderful massages, no housework, no kids, no schedule,
Bring it on.
And just be, and just take that time for yourself. How often do you get that opportunity? Not really. But I was really blessed. The pandemic for me, in a way, did me a favour, and I'm going to tell you what happened. But I was transported to this place, and it changed my life. And that's why I'm here to tell you a story of how it happened, and how you can take ownership of your dreams and make them happen. And Carol Ann, after I finish speaking, is going to take you through a visualization that I'm sure you'll find very powerful. But I need to tell you a little bit about the backstory, because I had quite a powerful career. I, at one point, thought I had it all, I suppose. I started off as a translator. I moved into the travel industry. I then moved into recruitment, and with a colleague who believed in me, we grew and floated a small consultancy on the UK stock market, and I was only 30. At that time, I guess I was a little bit famous in Liverpool, because I had my own house, fast car, I was only 30, PLC director. I was living it a bit large. I stayed there for a while, and then I thought, I don't want to be owned by the stock market and have to do, what I'm expected to. I'm going to run my own show. So I started my own consultancy. In fact, I bought it out from a larger group, and I started from scratch with nothing. And in a few years, I built that up into 7 figures. I had 5 offices, 18 full-time consultants, board of directors, all men, and I was, kick-ass boss woman, really, at the time. And I was coaching very senior executives, especially in retail and finance. I coached, for example, the last 4 chief executives of Asda. I'm very proud that one lady I coached is now running Asda Walmart in Canada internationally. So I was earning a lot of money. I was well respected, and things were going pretty good. Okay, so there I was, bit of a boss lady, and I then came to 39, body clock ticking. Children, I need a husband. I mean, literally, it was a bit a guilty secret, ladies. It wasn't internet shopping, but it was like the closest thing. And I got married at 39, and I was blessed with 2 children when I was 41 and 43, a boy and then a girl, millionaire's choice. And that was me. I also qualified, I did a lot of degrees, masters, and I became a chartered fellow of the CIPD, and I was a master of, British Psychological Society. So all that was, pretty fantastic until then, the crisis. This is the first crisis. There's 2 crises in this story, but this is the first one. I got breast cancer, and luckily I caught it early, so it was treatable. But I had 2 small kids, and I was the one earning the money. And my ex-husband didn't have the resources within himself to really handle the situation. I had in my name a £650,000 mortgage. I was running around crazy. I had a nanny, an au pair, a cleaner, marketing people, and I was just burning myself out, and I thought, this is not the way I want to live. So then, of course, well, not of course, but I decided I was going to leave, and I took the children, and I moved into Bowden with the 2 children, and at the time, a lady business partner and a nanny, and that was going okay. And then we had the 2008-2009 crisis. And I consolidated all my work onto a bank, the local bank, and had 2 years' work, just wiped out, and no cash flow. And there I was, single parent. By then, a £500,000 mortgage, at least it was a bit smaller. And you know, it was pretty difficult. So I lost my business, more or less. It didn't actually collapse, but it went to nothing. And I thought, right, I need to earn some money quickly. So I borrowed massively against the house, credit cards, borrowed everywhere to try and invest in this new bad business idea. And before too long, I realised it was a bit of a disaster, and so my finances completely collapsed at that time. This is me with the kids on holiday. This was the dream as well, you know. We had some lovely times, we were close, we had wonderful, we were like a little team, you know, it was fun. So then I had to reinvent myself, and I went from business leader with the power shoulders to domestic goddess with the, I was going to say the perfect poached eggs, although this one shows the fried egg. And you know, whatever I do, I do with passion. You know, I have to throw my passion and my energy into things. I have to make it work. Had a lot of opposition from the neighbours, but I toughed it out. I got all the permissions and licenses, and I set up this Ayuda House bed and breakfast. So, yeah, so Ayuda House started to find a life of its own, and you know, we were very successful. As you can see, these were some of the last reviews that were online, all 10s, straight 10s, a 5-star on TripAdvisor, so you know, it was all going really well. But I was in a relationship where I wasn't happy, and that wasn't really going to go anywhere long term. And this is how I felt. And I actually took this picture in Turkey. I felt like this little girl, you know, completely, she buried herself in the sand, you know, and there's lots of analogies you can make there, aren't there, about somebody piling troubles on themselves and worries and, you know, digging themselves deeper and deeper and then not being able to get out, you know. But this is really how I felt. I've just felt super stuck. So I started to think, right, how I could emerge from this and use my property, which was my main asset, but go back into my coaching, combine the two, and I started this idea of running retreats, especially ladies' retreats, from Ayuda House. So I started the rebranding, I did the website, I did one photo shoot, and it was sort of not really getting off the ground because my passion wasn't there. You know, it wasn't, I was thinking, well, it's great, you know, people can come to this wonderful house in a suburban neighbourhood, and you know, but it's raining, and so my passion wasn't really ignited by it. And then we're turning now into January 2020. So this is when I went on Carol Ann's workshop. Do you remember? Yeah. January 2020. Where was it again?
In Manchester.
Yeah,
it wasn't too far.
It wasn't too far from here. And a wonderful day. She had so many magazines. You'd never see these like magazines everywhere. And you know, madly cutting and sticking. I actually found it really quite hard work, but I came up with this. And I actually, when I finished it, I was just like amazed, you know, because all of these words were just springing out of the magazine, and pictures were springing out of the magazine, and my future life and vision of what was really, really in my heart was coming out. And the images were then being stuck in front of my eyes, you know. We had all these things, divine inspiration, passion, change your life, find your peaceful place. I step out of the shadows, my dream came alive. I love that one. Be wild and free. I like that one even more. Live your best decade. Free yourself from the past. Refreshingly different. Well-being getaways. Give me sunshine. And you can see all of these pictures of the, you know, the seascapes, body, mind, soul, ladies together, yoga, you know, meditation, exercise, timeless beauty, all of this, you know. And so I took it home and I kept it in front of me in my sitting room for weeks, and I just kept looking at this. I put it as my screensaver on my phone, and I just kept visualizing it, thinking, right, that's it. You know, it's all going to happen, everything's going to rock and roll now. It's all going to come alive. And then, the massive crisis. The crisis number 2, like the really big, actually that one was quite big, but this one was very painful in a way because it involved a lot of emotional pain, not just loss, money loss. It involved, actually for a whole of 2020, the loss of my children. That was the biggest part of it because I'd had an argument with my daughter. She wasn't speaking to me. It was kind of okay with my son. And then he kind of went on to her side, and I didn't know what was going on with conversations with the father, so I had all these notions of conspiracy and things like that, and they just cut me off and said, we don't want any more contact with you. And then COVID hit. So it was in that order. Then COVID hit, and I obviously had to self-isolate in my house. My children then didn't have a home to come back to. They wouldn't come to my home. They went to some stranger's house in Scotland that I didn't even know, so they disappeared off there. And my B&B had to shut down, so the last guests were in February. March it formally shut down. I didn't have any grant from the local council because I just kind of fell through the cracks there. And my relationship, which had been kind of all linked with running the B&B, finally broke up. And we'd been together 6 years, you know, we were like best pals. We weren't really like, I always say we weren't really a couple, but we were best pals. And we parted as friends, but he decided to get his own place. I lent him my last money to get his place, to go on the deposit, and guess what? He refused to pay me back. So at the point where I had, you know, no money, no business, no kids, no boyfriend, no financial help, the person I trusted for the last 6 years actually ripped me off. So this was extremely painful. Plus, one of my health problems, past problem, reoccurred, and I found I had to go to the Wythenshawe repeatedly, you know, twice a week for several weeks in the middle of COVID, you know, sitting there, people en masse, nobody knew what was going to happen. So it was kind of a terrifying time. And then I decided to throw all my energies into a community project. So I set up a Facebook group for people wanting to help the vulnerable and elderly in my community. I built it into several hundred, 200 or 300 people. I manufactured the sanitizer, which is out there for you to take away as a fundraising activity to help with this effort. And that got all misconstrued as I was, you know, profiteering, and I got accused of all sorts of terrible things. And these 2 ambitious women that I'd made admins of my group to help me stole my group and blocked me. Yeah, blocked me, threw me out the group, so there I was, 7-bedroom house, completely isolated, nobody to talk to, heartbroken. So, it does lighten up, guys, so... It does lighten up, it does lighten up. So, and my mum, also, she was like 92 and on her own, and lonely, couldn't see her, and it turned out later she pretty much stopped eating and was losing loads of weight. So, this is the breakthrough, because You know, I'd say always been a Christian. I became a Christian when I was 18, and I've been involved with the church, and I've prayed and read the Bible and, you know, done some of the right things and all of that. But I don't know whether I'd actually really said, okay, God, you know, you're pretty much like Job, you know, you've taken everything, so you may as well take anything else that's still left. And I'm giving my life to you, and that's that. You know, I'm absolutely saying, right, I surrender, I'm letting go, I'm trusting you, and I'm going to walk the path that you tell me to do. And I started journaling, I started, you know, just being at peace, just trying to be at peace, and I started practicing a lot of, you know, active gratitude, my gratitude journal. And one of the coaches I worked with, as well as Carol Ann, actually Will Poston, you know, Will, he said to me, you know, you've got to do benefit stacking. You actually have to write down the things, you know, the worst things, like losing your kids. Write down all the benefits. So that's just ridiculous. You know, how can I do that? There's nothing good about it. You know, and I tried, and well, you know, I'm free and no responsibility, don't have to pay, don't have to worry. You know, you write down all these things. So that was one of the things that really helped me. And also with Helen, I went on the Keys to Freedom course, didn't we, with the church group, which was really great. And that really forced you to sit down and go through some of your past relationships, and especially for me, about forgiveness, about really actively going back and actively forgiving anybody that had done me harm, betrayed me, hurt me, you know, abused me. And, you know, there was a big long list because I've lived a bit of a life, you know, full on. So I did that, and then I joined the One of Many Women training. It's a shame nobody could come this evening to talk about that, but that was very powerful as well, because this is a course which helps you to recognise that, you know, women have a tendency to default to this, you must be superwoman, you know, you must have it all, do it all, be it all, multitask, keep it all going on every front, all this, the plate spinning. But of course you burn out, and also it isn't very good to be a mother when you're like that, because children become like an inconvenience sometimes when you're busy, you know. So I got it why I really probably had broken, my relationships had broken with my children, because I was always in this super woman mode. So so I joined the One of Many track, because they say, right, you know, Superwoman is useless, you know, you need to learn these balancing different power types. So I went through that course, so that was really helpful, and learned to balance my energies, and, you know, prayed some more, focused on my vision board, and then had quite a lot of coaching and counselling. You know, different people came and worked with me on something, and then worked with me on something else. So, and the main thing then, you know, is obviously you have to take action. You can't just kind of have a dream and a vision, you have to actually take action. So I put my house up for sale with a commercial agent, and I was locked in for 6 months, which was really bad news for me. But eventually the 6 months came to an end, and I put it up for sale as a residential property and also for rent. And then out of the blue, this Christian couple, as it happened, international couple, they got stranded because of COVID, and they asked if they could rent a house for 3 or 4 months. I said yes. So they turned up, and then realised, you know, they were paying me really good money, then had time on my hands, and had freedom, because I had nobody to worry about. And I thought, right, first of all, I'm going to go and take a 3-week holiday. I love Turkey. I had a vision, you know, going back to Turkey. So I went for 3 weeks. And initially, I stayed in three different cities, and then I was going to come home, and I thought, no, I'll spend another 2-3 days longer, and I'll go to Cedar, which is just along the coast. And this is when I found the Cactus Hotel, which is a cute little 1-star boutique hotel, absolutely gorgeous, you know, right by the sea, right by the ruins. And this is the little girl, Daphne, who was my darling. This was the first day I arrived, this is me looking like a tourist, obviously I was a tourist, very like a tourist, with my silly sun hat, and this little girl, she said, you know, she would take me to see Apollo's temple. So very, very proud. It was only like 5 minutes walk from Cactus Hotel, so very proud. Took me along, showed me all the things, and that's her sitting on Apollo's temple. So cute, she captured my heart. So I came back, I had to come back because my pet sitter had ended their contract and I had to find a new pet sitter, and I needed to self-isolate, of course, as soon as I came back. So I came back, looked for a new pet sitter. Ta-da! Enter stage left, Stephanie. This is how crazy cat lady. So she came into my life, and it plays a big part in the rest of the story. So, and miraculously, in these 3 weeks that I was back, this family asked to see the house. It was the 29th of October. I checked it out on my phone. A lovely Muslim family, big family, you know, 4 kids, all growing up, some at uni, some, you know, doing dentistry, and they lived along the road with me. And they came and they saw it and they really liked the house, and I just had this real instinct in me that they were the ones to buy my house, and I'll show you the evidence of that. So I booked a one-way ticket back to Cedar. I'd seen these people, I thought, right, I'm going to go to Cedar, I love it. I'd heard about Evren-Seki, I was focused then, so I went all the way back, one-way ticket. Stephanie took over looking after the pets, tenants in the house, happily renting, and these other potential buyers then had to go and try and sell their house. So actually, I'm going to soon lead into the whole, you know, like retreat element of this and what happened. But this is the evidence of the faith aspect and how I believe it was kind of miraculous. Because this family, the lady's name is Uzma, we just like really connected, and we kind of, you know, she was a prayer, I was a prayer, you know, we were going, you know, God wants us to do this, and Allah wants us to do this, and we were going, yeah, you know. And they couldn't sell their house at first. It was quite difficult. They were a bit over-ambitious on the price, and they had a budget. But we had this exchange of texts, you know, I said, I'm certain as I can be, this house is yours. We need to find a way. Money isn't the only part of the transaction for me. It's what feels right. As I said, I'm a bit different to some people like that. And she said, dear Melinda, you know, never met a woman like you, such a good person, thinking of others, you know, big down-to-earth family and so on. So we got this real connection. And in the end, there was coming and going from the beginning to the end of the transaction. There was probably about 20 other people saw the house, and they were all going, yeah, but, you know. So I kept going, because this family said that they were happy for me to rent the annex at the side of the house, and one of the really important things for me, they said they'd adopt my 2 cats. Yeah. So I reduced the house thousands of pounds, you know, for the benefit of my cats, but also a bit for my benefit, because clearly I wanted somewhere like a transitional place without having to move address. This is just to give you a little bit of a feel. Let's we go there. That's the whole of Turkey, yeah. And this is the Emerald Coast here. So we go back. This is so I started off my long road trip in Kalkan here. Then I went to Kash. Then I went up the coast. I stayed in Antalya this side. Then I stayed in Antalya that side. Later I went on to Alanya, which is another nice city. And then this is Cedar, where I ended up deciding this would be my future there. And yeah, why? Because of the lovely, one of the things, who wouldn't want to be there right now? Even on a hot day, you know, it's just a cool breeze, you know, such a natural beach. Imagine just being a little boat floating, you know. It was such just a really, really special place. And it was even more special because it was lockdown. So there was very few tourists, few archaeologists, you know, the restaurants weren't open at one point. So I moved from place to place, stayed in different places. But it was just a wonderful, what is this? So there was one day on the beach, I took this photo because for me this was very symbolic. I was like, you know, the light is coming, you know, the sun is breaking out of the clouds, and this is going to be a beautiful, bright future. I just felt, you know, like so stirred spiritually and emotionally that this was going to be, you know, a step change in my life, you know, a transformational change in my life. You know, I felt just really hopeful. And on the way back from taking actually those 3 pictures, the girl stuck in the sand, the sea, I took this one, which I thought also is very symbolic because, you know, there was so much of my past I had to leave behind, you know, so much troubles, bad feelings, negativity, you know, I was leaving behind. So this then was the picture that I had, you know, about, you know, really symbolic of new life. I think underneath it says Allah something, but I can't read it. I don't know if anybody can read it.
Hallelujah.
Well, yeah, it's hallelujah, but it's the same, you know, in Arabic I think it's the same because then it says Allah something. So it was again a very symbolic thing for me. So I then had this notion, didn't I, that I want Evren stuck in my mind. And this is Cedar here, this is the beach just down here that was in the photo, and that was the little B&B. And the amphitheatre here, I don't know if you can just about see the circle, one of the most...
What's the nearest airport in there?
Antalya, yeah. So it's accessible, so it's only like 50 minutes, 45, 50 minutes from the airport. And, you know, this location here is where I felt led to eventually, because I went to... I had this Evren I had in my mind as a place to go. And I went for a massage one day, and the therapist, I said, well, I'm looking to start a retreat centre here. I'm thinking of Evren. So she goes, oh, you know, you don't want to start your own, you don't want to build your own, because I'm a partner in one, in Evren. So I said, right, tomorrow I'll come and see. So I had a lift with Mr. Ali, who was trying to sell me a piece of land in Evren. You know, archetypal Mr. Ali, smooth talking, and so on. But anyway, so I'll move on in a minute, but this location is just fantastic. And this is what I found, you know, when I got to this actual sweet orange garden, which had been built by a German company called Baba Innovation, and the owner of that, Omer, amazing guy, you know, very dynamic, very creative, a bit obsessive compulsive, you know, kind of, you know, ADHD kind of type, a bit like me actually, you know, very, very creative and high energy, and we just really clicked. Because they all speak German there, I speak German, so this was really good for me because I thought, well, it's not going to be an obstacle to starting a business there and you know, doing work there. So I did, as you do, set up a limited company, got, you know, bank accounts, find a lawyer, find an accountant, went to the tax office, got a personal tax number, got a business tax number, set everything up, and just decided that I was going to invest in this place, and I was going to make a home in this place, and I was going to make a business in this place. So the beauty of the complex, and you'll see more pictures going forward, when because it's 95% finished, so follow us on social media and you'll see an awful lot of pictures. But it has 7 villas, of which I have bought 1, and then there's an apart hotel with 10 separate apartments, some with 2 rooms, with 1, some kitchens, and then there's a whole spa complex with Turkish baths, 2 Turkish baths, sauna, steam room, indoor pool, outdoor pool, lots of massage rooms, and it's just spectacular, you know, the quality, the build, the finish, the design, minimalist design. So I just fell in love with it, and you know, Omar was keen to collaborate with me. As it happens, the lady masseur, she pulled out of the deal, so it was just me and him. So this, I'm going to show you what the concept is, if I can. So what do you think? I haven't quite finished because there's a few more things to talk to you about making this happen and how, you know, to turn, you know, faith into action. So I decided by that time I'd had a bounce back loan from the government. So I thought, oh, perfect investment for a business. And I also had a little frozen pension, so I kind of unfroze that and counted it all up, and I said, would you take that as a deposit? It was just about enough, so he said yes, so, and I signed a contract to give him the balance on the 1st of April, which was a little bit of a, you know, either faith-filled or insane thing to do. So, you know, I came back, and the buyers still couldn't sell their house. I kept believing they were the ones. The April deadline was leaving. So I came back in January, had to self-isolate. It was a miserable month. Stephanie stayed and self-isolated in a local house. And the agreement was when my tenants went, Stephanie would come back and we would buddy up and she would help me to clear the house and, you know, get rid of everything. Because this family, despite how I'd wanted to sell it as a business, they didn't want it. They wanted everything gone. Pictures, TVs, you know, every single stick of everything. I had so much stuff. So anyway, we started stripping it down, didn't we? We started systematically dismantling the business that I'd put together, and eventually it actually sold. And this was actually the garage pretty much towards the end of the tidy out. Jessie wasn't at all impressed. But this literally was after it had been cleared of beds and tools and boxes. You know, this was kind of like halfway through tidying it up. So this was pretty grim. But look at that. This, I have about 20 different pictures like this. Yeah. This is the cleaning cupboard. This was the cosmetics cupboard. This was the small electrical appliances. This was the stationery cupboard. This was the pans. How many pans do you need to do eggs? Cutlery drawer. The crockery, which I've got a whole, I don't know, have I got time to show the...
Oh, I think so.
I've got to do the crockery video. And the remote control. So you can, I mean, I was a gadget girl writ large. I had 10 different TVs, all different brands, all different, some different connections, some smart, some not smart, some, you know, break down regularly. So that was really, and if I've got a moment, let's just see, to make you smile.
party to celebrate. Everything had been cleared. We had took 3 months, didn't it? We made relationships with so many different charities. We helped the homeless, we helped the sexually abused, we helped how many people,
oh my goodness.
You know, victims of slavery, the ex-offenders, and then we got involved in helping them and actually raising money, or raising, you know, getting other people to give things to them. So we got very, very busy. You know, on 23rd of June, this was my birthday, and this was my lovely friends, some of whom are here, came to support me, and we had a wonderful evening, didn't we? So it was, yeah. So on the same day, Ayuda Retreats was born. My website was launched, and the concept is alive. So the plan is to run ladies' retreats, not just ladies' wellness, also body, mind and spirit retreats, and also, you know, just helping people to recover from burnout. Plus I have other themes in mind because it's such a brilliant place, you know, for architecture and ancient history, so ancient history tours and golf tours. So I've also run contract to teach English to executive coaches out there, so we hope to do some like intensives as well, you know, where you can live, breathe, speak, eat English. Well, not eat English. And also my vision is to, I've got my own charity, which is the Ayuda Foundation, so my vision is to raise money, but also to put a proportion of the earnings from the VIP retreats into the charity programme, and give free holidays to young families that have been bereaved in COVID. So, you know, when mum or dad has died and they can't have a holiday. So, and also, you know, like burnt out pastors and burnt out carers and people that have just been giving, and, you know, they just burn themselves out. So selectively, you know, giving some free retreats to people like that. So that's really where my heart is going forward. So I want to just finish with this really in terms of the deeper learnings. That, you know, I guess overall it's, you know, for me as a Christian, but whatever faith tradition, if you believe in a, you know, transcendent God, is trust. You know, trust God. If you're a secular person, you might say, well, you know, trust the universe, or, you know, trust your instincts, trust your heart, and go with your heart. You know, find your passion, and find what really is at the core of you, what you really believe, and what you really want, what you really hope for, and believe that it's absolutely possible. And, you know, simplify and declutter your life. You know, get rid of all of the stuff that you don't need, the 50 pounds that you don't need, all of the cleaning products, you know, just, I feel so much healthier now. I'm not living in the middle of all of that tech, you know, 2 Wi-Fi networks, all these people with gadgets and phones and laptops, and, you know, just was not healthy at all, not healthy. Get out of victim mentality. I mean, there was a point at the beginning where, you know, I was, very beginning, I was heartbroken, you know, poor me, why has this all happened to me? But if it hadn't have all happened to me, I wouldn't have had a vision, you know. If I had, my kids hadn't for a while estranged me, you know, I wouldn't have found the freedom. And there is some good news on that, don't let me go without telling you. So get out of victim mentality, start practicing gratitude, you know, really look at the positives, and, you know, look at the benefits of even the difficult things. And crisis is the mother of invention. I mean, it is a cliche, but definitely it is if your attitude is right. But also you've got to take bold action steps. You know, it doesn't happen by just, you know, praying and waiting. You know, you just got to go and do stuff and make it happen. Forgiveness was a very, very big part of what was holding me back, I think. Even I'd say, well, I've forgiven everybody in my past, but when you actually go back into some of the situations, you realise that you've just buried it. So that was really an important part of it. And, you know, learn to be yourself, be authentic, love yourself. know that you're lovable, even you think maybe you mess things up in your life, but really believe that you are lovable. And most importantly, the power of coaching and the power of mentoring and the power of the fellowship of other people in your life, and the support and warmth and care and love and ability to talk, share your troubles, listen to theirs. But I had quite a few coaches. Carol Ann took me from the beginning of the journey and took me a long way, and then I worked with different people for different kind of aspects of my journey. Now I'm working with an executive coach mentor in France. So different guides really for different parts of your journey, but don't think you can make it on your own, because you can't. You need a helper. You need. So there we are. That's pretty much the end of my talk. But I did want to just leave it on a little positive note. And this part of the recording mustn't go anywhere, but we're in a safe environment. I was, after I'd just sold the house, literally 23rd of April, about the week before or 2 weeks before, my son contacted me out of the blue, and he said, Mum, I'd like us to start speaking, I'd like us to start having counselling. And he said, and by the way, I've got an accommodation crisis. Have you got anywhere for me to stay? So I said, well, as it happens, now I've cleared the house and I'm living in the flat next door. My mum, she'd been in hospital for 6 weeks. She's not really in a good way. Anyway, she was coming out, so I needed to go and look after her, be her carer. So I said, well, okay, we don't need to meet, but I'll set up the flat for you, everything, make it all really nice, and I'll go over and look after Nana, and you can have your peace for a month, because he had these assignments to do for university. So then we started to have some counselling together. And so we'll come back to the questions, because this is really the last email he sent me, because we had this wonderful session where we just really, connected again. And he said, I saw you in a way I'd never have before, truly incredible, And it's like you become who you're really meant to be, come back to your authentic self, the real soul, and you go on your soul's journey, then that's when everything starts to, come together. And the other little postscript, because some of you already know, I've been seeing a gentleman for a little while, and we've decided to be in a relationship, and he's mad into his vintage cars. And the thing is, that's one of them. He's driving round Italy. Caroline, are your heads in the back of your neck?
Yeah.
So let's just
the missing
see.
piece.
So we go back to the beginning.
The vision board.
The vision board.
Yes, I saw the Italy.
Oh.
Italy. His vision
You said that it's Turkey.
was to semi-retire,
Yeah.
drive round all of the Italian lakes, mountains, go on a cookery course, learn Italian. In his open top car, he's got about 10 of them, so they're all like vintage. So so we decided to make it together.
Wow.
Yeah.